everyone, how's it going? Thanks for joining me today on a Sunday. A little last minute, but I thought I'd want to get in touch with you guys before I go away on my tour. And also, I have a workshop coming up this Wednesday at, as you see some of the BV was being so helpful, posting. I have the workshop coming up. It's these blues, building blocks of blues soloing workshop at 6 p.m. Eastern time. You can click on the link below that, that BV's got there, or the link that's below in my description. And if you use that link, it's 25% off. And it will live forever on my Teachable site, which I'm building out. We're going to have a lot more things like this, a lot more live workshops. But I really like the idea of doing a Zoom workshop where we can have a bunch of people and we can all answer questions at the end. And what the workshop really kind of focuses in on is, well, the building blocks of your solo. I find most people, when they learn how to play, you learn a lick, and then you move on to the next thing, you learn another lick, and you've got these things that you don't really know what to do with, right? So I've got this sort of method that I like to think about where you analyze each lick, and how can we take one idea that we've learned, let's just say a simple thing like this, like, right? A little more drive there, we'll talk about the pedalboard. Something like that. So there's so many different ways you can do things with that. So like, right? So learning how to take a little germ of an idea and how to expand upon it. So the idea, I'm using the idea of vocabulary, or learning how to speak a language. When you're playing blues and blues rock, you're speaking a certain language that is blues and blues rock. So I can help you figure that out. So 25% off, you want to sign up now. It will live forever. Once you join, you will have access to it from now to the end of time through my Teachable site, which I'm expanding, and so you guys can grab onto that anytime you want. Okay, so thanks to everybody who's here. I see a lot of the familiar faces. Thanks for joining me on a Sunday evening or afternoon. I know I'm going up against Pete Thorne right now, who's apparently on live, but you know. Richard and Sarah, Phil Jones, thanks for signing up, Phil. Steve Coleman, BV, of course, thanks so much for doing this last minute, as always. Much appreciated. Scott Kidwell Music. Kevin's here. Michael Burrell, thanks for signing up. Yeah, man, I appreciate it, guys. Eric Warrington, thank you so much. Yes, and thanks for signing up, Steve Coleman. Thanks for signing up for the workshop. Appreciate it. So yeah, the tour is in the Czech Republic, which is really going to be kind of fascinating. I've never actually been. I've been when I was younger. Feels like ages ago. I toured a lot in Europe with a band called Liquid Hips. You can look it up. Kind of a heavy hard rock metal funk band. This is in the 90s. And we did pretty well for a while, and then it kind of just fizzled out, as a lot of that stuff does. You know, bands, record labels, etc. But so I just want to talk about how I prepare for a tour. This is my first tour in 2 years. The last tour I did with this, it's a 2-week-long tour, just in the Czech Republic. Last tour I had done was with Robin Ford right before the pandemic, and we actually had a few dates planned that he asked me to do with him that all got canceled because of COVID. So I'm looking forward to it. Heading out of town for the first time in a long time. So a few basic things. I'll talk about my pedalboard. I got it set up here, what I plan on bringing, and all the nerdy stuff. So I made a little checklist. So the first thing, if we talk about learning the material, here's something that a lot of people don't do, and I try to do all the time now because I don't want to mess up or look like an idiot on a stage. What I like about the performances we're doing 2 sets. So it's me for the whole night. It's my friend Walter Fischbacher. I'm going to show you a little clip in a minute of the band. Well, me and Walter is the keyboard player. And 2 musicians who I've never met nor ever played with. So we have a rehearsal the day before, and then we play every night for 2 weeks, which I love doing. People are like, aren't you going to get tired? Like, well, hell no. Well, first of all, financially, if you don't play, you pay, right? So that's the big key, because all these kind of tours that I'm on, you know, these are on tight budgets. You know, even bigger bands are on tight budgets. But if you're doing something solo like I'm doing, it's going to be a little, it's tight financially to just make it happen. So that's why we have some musicians from over there playing, as opposed to me flying over my band, which I would love to do, but then that becomes cost prohibitive. So the first thing is working on the material, and that's really important. Since like I said, we're playing 2 sets, which I really like. We're playing the whole night, so you get a chance to stretch out. And whether it's my material or some of the other guys, and I'm doing some of the other guys' material as well, because I don't want to always play my own material, and you know, I want everybody to be happy and never get a chance to do their thing and all that. But I run over all my own tunes again, because I practice. First thing I do is I run through all the tunes, I practice them standing up, and I practice playing as I would with my pedal board, right? So you're actually working through the material as you were in a performance. I find that's really important because, you guys know you're sitting down practicing guitar, and the guitar is, you're sitting down and you're like this, and then the second you go to play something that may be more difficult and you're standing up, you're like, uh-oh. So you have to practice standing up. So I practice the material every day for a while standing up. And then, like I said, working through how I would actually perform it as much as I can as a player, with the pedal board and the sounds and things. So I'm also trying to predict what's coming my way in terms of the gear, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Also, I like to have too much material prepared because you never know how a night can go. Sometimes the vibe of the room is they want more lively stuff. Sometimes you need to bring it down a little bit more. You never really know. So you want to have a number of things prepared and ready to go. So I have my set, other guys doing some cover tunes, kind of doing some blues covers, and some kind of like, I got a few Jeff Beck tunes that I like to do. So it's a bit more of a bluesy, fusion-y gig because I wanted to do what was representative of the record, and that's the record I did with Robin and everything, and my own record. So that's that. That's going to be the music. And in terms of what I love about playing every night, besides the finances, which is probably the most important thing, that you need to play or you don't get, because if you don't play, you don't get paid from the gig and they don't give you the hotel, so you're paying for it out of your own pocket. And all these things that you have to think about on these lower tours. And when I say lower tours, I'm talking about stuff that like Robin does. When I say a lower tour, I mean not U2 or Pearl Jam or, huge acts. Like everybody has to take a lot of things into account. So with all the stuff that is horror going on in Ukraine, gas prices go up. So these are all these considerations going over there. Like, okay, so we're probably not going to make as much because gas prices have gone up. All those sorts of things. So finances aside, I like playing every night because you get into a groove. Right? I always find with my old bands, when you take the night off is when you just start to kind of lose your edge a bit. Especially, I've always had the real pleasure of touring with heavily improvisatory music. Right? So you're just getting into the groove, the band's starting to burn after about a few days. You start really finding your sea legs, and then that's the best part. So I sometimes find when you had a night off or 2 nights off or something like that, and then you get back on stage, you have to get back in the groove, and I never really loved that feeling. It felt like you were just, you're on the roll, and then you just stopped for a minute, and then you have to get your steam back up. That's why I do like playing every night. And I also like sometimes tours like this where they're in, say, one country. What you really want to try to do is not to have too many long trips in between gigs, right? Or locations. So if it's like an hour or 2 long gig drive, that's great. Sometimes I remember doing drives from like Munich to Paris, and it's just brutal. You're in the van. So people are like, oh, is it a tour bus? No, it's not a tour bus. It's like a Sprinter. It's comfortable, but tour buses mean you make no money. So when I was touring with Robin, it was in a Sprinter, and then you plan it out that you don't have these colossally long drives. So you're driving a few hours, and then you go to the gig. Because if you rent the bus, all the money goes to the bus, and you don't make any money. So I talked about finances again. All right, but I think people really want to know the reality of these situations, right? So that's really important. Also, on top of that, selling things like CDs and such, that helps increase your income on the road. And hopefully people will buy CDs. Nobody buys CDs anymore. So it becomes more and more difficult. I'm talking finances, but you guys want the truth. You come here for the truth, and I give you the truth. But it's fun. The best part is I get to play guitar every night for 2 weeks, and it's been a long time. Like all of us, we've all been kind of locked in. And it's a very different experience. I got into guitar to be a performer and a guitar player. And as much as I love the YouTube and teaching career, there's a whole part of my life that is unfulfilled, like many musicians. And so I'm very fortunate that I get these chances to sometimes get this going. Also working on some dates with my great friend Ermanno Bonifazi for coming to Italy again, hopefully in the next few months, maybe fall, because you got to plan these things out ahead of time. So looking forward to that. Okay, once again, yes, the Blues Workshop on Wednesday, 25% off in the link. If you guys love to do it, that's a great way to help support me and the channel. You get some great info, and you get to keep it. You get to watch it anytime you want. You can't download it, but you watch it streaming anytime you want from my Teachable site. Okay, so first things you guys want to, let's any questions along the way, I'm happy to answer. Okay, so let's talk about a checklist, right? All right, we'll talk about that. So the things I always want to bring is strings. I sometimes find I don't need to change them every night. It all depends on how sweaty the gig is. So I don't have particularly grungy hands. So let's say I'm going to be out for 2 weeks. So let's say 14 or 15 gigs. I will probably always bring double the strings for sure, you know. But sometimes if it's like not a really horrible gig, I'm not really gunking up the strings. I only bring one guitar. People are like, oh man, knock on wood, I've never really had a problem. And that also brings me to mind that I always bring a toolkit. I'm very well versed at taking care of my own guitars, which I think is extremely important for any musician to learn how to do standard maintenance on your guitar. Super important. Like, I have students like, oh, I brought my guitar in to get the neck adjusted. I'm like, what? Like, go on YouTube, get an Allen wrench, and figure out how to do it. It's really easy to do. So I always bring this. These things are kind of great. It's got everything I need. Right? You got the string winder. I usually just bring the one. I might take this out because the lighter, right? I take this out, take less weight. I bring that string winder and cutter in one. Screwdriver, Allen wrenches, more Allen wrenches. This is a crappy capo. I'll just replace that with one. I mean, I don't need like the height adjustment things, but the main things, and this one's big too. This little thing goes around your input jack, right? So you know how that sometimes gets loose? So there's a little fun story in real life. Robin, I did a tour with Robin. We went on the road. There was a gig in Los Angeles. He walks out on stage. He's got a 53 Les Paul, which is now mine. Walks out and the jack falls out. And he's like, whoa, hold on. So we're looking for the vintage part. So we find the jack and we go backstage and he's like, this is funny. Robin, if you're watching, which I know you're not. He was like, oh my, what are we going to do? And I'm like, he's like, let's just turn it. I'm like, no, because if you turn it, everything moves, right? So you know what I'm saying? Like one thing, guys, never turn the screw on the input jack because sometimes it spins around on the inside and you break the little wire. It's really easy to do, happens all the time. So I bring screwdriver, open it up, had that little wrench thing, a little socket, and did it in 30 seconds. And he was like, what are you doing? How do you have all this? How do you know all this? I'm like, well, it's because it's my job, right? So there you go. So bring the toolkit. I bring the toolkit. Picks, just bring a ton of picks. I bought a bag of 100, and nothing goes for 100. You can never have too many picks. You lose them, blah, 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 But the toolkit is the big thing. Cables. Okay, I bring two 10-foot cables. We're not playing big places. I don't like big, long cables. I usually bring two 10-foot cables and an 18 or 20-foot cable. We're not playing stadiums, so 40 feet of cable. If you have two 20-foot cables, a lot. I don't like having all that cable on the floor, around me because I find it gets in my way and I'm standing on it and all that. So I bring the 10-foot cable, which usually runs from me to my pedal board. My pedal board's right here. And then 10 foot to the amp, depending on where it is. I played the bitter end the other night. 10 feet, two 10-foot cables, it's 20 feet. It's pretty good. And then the shorter the cable, the better the signal, even though I've got buffers, and we'll talk about all that kind of stuff. Yes, I did charge Robin $100 for that repair. I did, that's pretty funny. And then what I'll also do is I'll have the 20-foot cable just in case, because the worst thing is you get to a gig and then things are bigger than you thought and you're like, oh crap. Like I'm standing next, I can't move up to the front of the stage. If you are singing, which I may be singing a tune or two, I bring my own microphone. Especially in COVID times, but yeah, just a SM58, they're relatively inexpensive. If I lose it or forget it, which I try not to do, it's not the end of the world. And you're not putting your mouth on some sort of disgusting microphone that 500 other people have put their mouth on. Okay, so you guys understand that. That's like sharing a harmonica to me. It's like, no, I'm not. Yuck. All right, so there we go. A few questions, I'll get to those. Do I ever do wireless? I never do wireless for a bunch of reasons, and we can talk about that in the gear section. One, I like cables. Wireless can sometimes interfere. They can cause problems. I'm not playing big enough places that I would need a wireless. If I were playing the Enormo Dome, I would be going wireless for sure. But if you're playing a small place, wireless is just another thing to carry, another battery, another thing that can kind of go wrong, right? So it's, for me, the kind of gigs that these are going to be, it's not worth it. They're mostly smaller, bar, club, venue things. They're not big places. If I were playing Madison Square Garden, yeah, definitely going to use a wireless. Okay. My next things. I got the microphone, toolkit. Okay. Learning the chords, learning the charts, practicing standing up. Those are big things. And I also bring charts with me. You're never too prepared. So all the guys have charts. They probably print it out, or they have them on a tablet or something. But I always just bring an extra set with me, just in case shit happens. Somebody's tablet breaks, or they lost a chart, or whatever. And also, I like to have my own charts in front of me, so if somebody's got a confusion, I have my chart in front of me and I can explain everything. So in terms of professional musicians, I have really good charts. I had them made, my friend made them for me, because my chart writing has got something to be desired. And he wrote out all the bass lines, and he does a great job at it. He does it professionally. So I hired my friend to write charts that are perfect. And I can say, no, B section, there are the notes, you're not playing that right. Or if they're confused, I can say, well, let's just do this. So everything is really clearly marked. So in these situations when you're walking in with not a lot of rehearsal, you're ready to go, and you trust that you're hiring musicians who can follow along on the charts. So that's super important. I also make a playlist, if I can, of my songs or other people's songs, that I have that going on so I can listen to the tunes ahead of time and just really kind of acclimate myself. I try to be off the charts as much as possible. I think visibly it doesn't look great to an audience, people looking at charts. But I can't demand that of musicians because, I can't pay them all that money to say, you have to memorize my whole set. So, it's about being cool too. Okay, the things, I'll get to the pedal board in a second. Things that I always bring with me, so the nutty stuff. My own coffee maker. It's the AeroPress. It's nerdy as this is. So you got little filters, you grind the coffee, you put it in here, fill it with hot water, and you push it down. So that's the AeroPress. I use it at home all the time too. And check it out, guys, a portable grinder. So this is nerdy, but I have one vice in the world, and this fits in there. My one vice, besides guitar and gear, is coffee. And certain countries, I wouldn't bring that. Like, I always check ahead and talk to a few of my friends who've been in the Czech Republic a lot, and they're like, it's not a big coffee country. I've been to Switzerland many times. Coffee's great coffee everywhere. Most of Germany, most of Austria. Espresso-based coffee, really good. And then there's other parts of Europe that you've been to, which is, rivals American coffee, which I really hate. Like just a Dunkin' Donuts-y kind of coffee. I know, I'm a coffee snob, it's my one thing. So I grind my own beans, it seems crazy, but it's so easy, just do it in the hotel room, you got boiling water, you pour it, you push this thing down. And then I'm happy, right? So, I know it's ridiculous. When I have gone on the road, or like when I do these workshops with Robin and we're away, if I'm driving, I bring my Nespresso maker and let everybody use it, right? Just set it up, have the bucket full of Nespresso capsules, and because for me, I find that makes my life happier. I don't really drink that much at all. I don't smoke. It's like a good cup of coffee in the morning. Okay. Right. And anyway, people are talking about, oh, wait, you need the Fellow AeroPress. Alex, what's that? I don't know what that one is. I'll check that out. All right, you can send me a text about it later. Alex Crossman. I'll get to all these comments. So let me see what I can talk to you about here. Oh yeah, okay, some other things too. This is totally ridiculous, things I've learned. A neck pillow. You're in a van, what if you got a 4-hour drive? You bring a neck pillow. It's great, you get an inflatable one, learning that in the tour, made my life so much happier. Little stupid things like that. Comfortable jeans to drive around in. My first tour, I got the nickname of Jeff Overpacker Lane. Because my first tour years ago, I brought like this huge suitcase full of shit, and it was a big pain in my ass, and I brought way too many things. So you got your stage clothes, you got a few things that you wear over and over again. They probably end up stinking by the end. You do laundry one time on the road, so if I've gone 2 weeks, you're gonna do laundry on maybe wherever it's the most convenient you do it, and the time you got the most time. And then there's also the dreaded sink laundry, which you can sometimes do with your underwear, which is not all that comfortable, but in a pinch, I'm not gonna, don't like doubling up on the underwear. So, there's all sorts of great coffee stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. I've looked at everything. Okay. So people are asking, and I'll talk about guitars now. Am I bringing my, this is right here, who was that? Rory Lisbon, are you bringing your expensive vintage guitars and overhead baggage or just PRS? I am bringing my Michael Tuttle Stratocaster, which is not here at the moment. Michael is refretting it for me. The neck, I should be getting the neck tomorrow again. So there's a bunch of reasons why I won't travel with this. One is the obvious. It's, you know, it's worth a lot of money. You know, Robin's like, dude, you got the guitar, you play the guitar. There's two reasons really. One, that it's worth a lot of money. And I really love my Michael Tuttle guitars. They sound amazing and they play amazing. And my Michael Tuttle Stratocaster has the silent backplate on the back. Sometimes, I mean, as much as I love this, and it depends on what gig you're on, sometimes these single coils are brutally loud, right? They're just brutal. And if you want to play a ballad, it really stinks because you're like, you know, depending on the house lighting, if there's neon lights or fluorescent lighting, you are screwed. So, besides the vintage value, which is less the thing for me really, because I'm a really firm believer. I bought the guitar to play it. I wouldn't check this. The rules are weird. I will check the Tuttle, and I'll talk about what I do. I have a plastic fret covering thing that Michael gives me that goes between your strings and your frets. So when I went to Italy, they made me check it, and I have a reasonably heavy-duty Gator Fender case. Like the thermometer shape, it fits the guitar shape. For my Les Paul, I have the Calton, but I'm not going to bring a Les Paul. You also have to remember, like, you know, I could bring it in a gig bag. I worry less about Fenders than I do Gibsons. So I always tour with Fenders. I will tour with a Gibson, but let me put it this way. I try not to check a Gibson if I can avoid it. I will check a Fender. The majority of the time, your guitar will be fine. Like, we hear the horror stories, but the vast majority of the time, if you invest in a reasonably decent case and you pack it well, chances are it's gonna be good. That's the other thing people do. They sometimes put the guitar in their suitcase, they take the neck off, and they just check a gig bag, or there's all sorts of ways you can do it. But I've, knock on wood, have not had any real problems checking a Fender style guitar. So, so as I said, yeah, I gotta have I have the Tuttle. I could show you the body, but it's got the silent pickups, and it's the guitar you see me playing if you're following my True Fire course. It's been my main guitar for 10 years until I got this, but I love playing that guitar. His stuff is so great. I'm equally happy as a player, you know, playing both. This sounds a bit more vintagey, well, because it is, but let me put it this way. The only time I miss this, or the only time I know, like, I played my Tuttles from Michael and I'm absolutely totally happy because they're amazing. And the only time I want to A/B at this, I'm like, oh, that's got a thing that only a vintage guitar has. So, like I said, on the road, I never think about, like, oh, I'm missing that. All I care about is, does it play really well, does it sound good, and does it not make a ton of noise? So, because sometimes, you know, you put on some overdrive and it can get really noisy. So you guys want to see some of the music we're going to play? I'm going to put this on for a minute. I won't play the whole thing, because I gotta, but here is a live clip from the other night. See what you guys think. Where is, here we go. Let me get this ready. Is this it? Yeah, check it out. the kind of stuff that we do. Yeah, we are playing some of this stuff in the Czech Republic for sure. Now that's stuff from my record that you guys are. That's a tune called "It's Your Groove." So yeah, definitely playing that kind of stuff because you know that's kind of what I do. Am I a blues guitar player? We do some blues too, yeah, for sure, but not all the stuff. So yes, this is the kind of that's my love, that kind of music. Okay, the drummer is so talented. Flips pages in the middle of the song without losing a beat. He is the longtime drummer for, what's her name? Skater girl, Avril Lavigne. He played with her forever. And with me forever. I've been playing with him on and off for like 20 years, 30 years. That is the keyboard player who we're playing with, Walter Fischbacher, and the bass player is Malcolm Gold. Unfortunately, those two are not coming with me. I would love it if they would, but they're not going to. Hey, Eamon, what's going on, man? How you doing? Glad you guys enjoyed that. Yeah, Phil Jones, awesome. Are you playing this sort of material in the Czech Republic too? Yes, absolutely. Alex Crossman, kicking ass. Thanks so much. This is so good. Hey, what's up? What's up, man? What's up, Quincy? All right, so you know, in terms of just like checking the guitar, you know, what are you gonna do? Like I try to cover as many bases with it. The cool thing about that case that I have, it's a smaller gator that fits with the ATA locks. It will fit overhead if they let me do it. If they don't, the other flip side is your pedal board. Can you check your pedal board? Sure you can, but sometimes sometimes they take it apart on you. So I really try to carry my pedal board on the plane. I remember talking to Josh Smith. We talked about this, and a lot of my friends say the same thing. That I'm pointing my pedal board, so I'll pull up right now. That you get less of a chance. Your pedal board has more of a chance of getting destroyed than your guitar does, usually, because they'll take this apart and then they will close it back up in the flight case. And I've had friends of mine have cables cut in half, all sorts of stuff like that, you know. Okay. There we go. So here's my pedal board that I'm bringing. Now it's missing a number of the pedals that you may be familiar with me using. And there's a number of reasons for that going on, like my beloved, you know, Shanks, Gladio, and Nordvang, and all these things. They're great. I love them. I'm playing through a Fender Hot Rod DeVille, which is basically your regular amp that you're going to get everywhere. And I kind of prefer those because back in the day, the house amp was a Roland Jazz Chorus. So those were the worst. You go to a gig and you're like, oh my God, you know. So those don't ever sound good. So, but the Hot Rod DeVille, you know, compared to the two Roxy amps I like, you know, it's a close second. And so you just got to deal with what you have. So there's two ways I'm going to go through this. So a few things that I've figured out. About those amps. First of all, don't forget, I have a live workshop coming up on Wednesday. Link, click on below. Thanks, BV, for pimping that 25% off. You can go to the live workshop, Zoom workshop, live 6 p.m. on Wednesday. And also, you can watch it anytime after that. So if you wanted just to help out the channel, help me out, you can join that. If you don't get the chance to watch it live, you can watch it anytime you want with the link. But it's 25% off. Okay. All right, so here we go. The pedal board. So I'm running into Roland Jazz Chorus. So no, I'm running into the Hot Rod DeVille 112, I believe, yeah. And so there's two ways you can run those amps. One thing I discovered with the help of my friend Angus Clark the other day, who has one, is the low input channel sounds much better. I find that amp to be very strident, and I don't like the reverb on those amps. They're not bad, but you can't. My music requires. I like a bit more of a lusher reverb. Those can get surfy really fast. So I like to bring my own my own reverb, and then run it through the effects loop. Or I could ignore the effects loop altogether. So I've been torturing myself about what smaller pedal boards to bring. I have like a Metro 8 pedal train Nano, which is too small, and I have an 18, which doesn't fit. And one thing I discovered is I just like having certain sounds in my board for my music. So what I end up doing running into a clean amp. I'm going to base that on the clean amp. And I picked up a Harlot by Kingsley. So it's a tube overdrive. Right? So it's really ampy, this one. Now my other pedals sound amazing. The Shanks and all those ones. And those I think sound especially amazing because I feel like I'm running into a really high-end tube amp, usually with a 2-rock. So what this does is that I leave this kind of on the whole time, and it acts a bit like the preamp section of the amplifier. So I like that. I like the way this pedal cleans up. I like the way it distorts. And I will have a reverb on the board. I don't have it with me right now. I'm going to probably put it here or something. And that'll all go into the front end of the amp, and I'll run the amp dry. I'll show you another thing we can do in a little bit. So I have the Harlot, which I can get a boost on there. So here's a clean sound, which is particularly sweet from the 2-rock. If I roll back the volume, and then you decide how much gain you want on that. And it's got a more switch. And this is what you were hearing on the gig. You were hearing my 2-rock classic reverbs, you heard my 2-rock studio signature, and this pedal board on that recording you just heard. So I feel like it covers everything. So I got my Univibe, which I love because a lot of my songs have Univibe in them. All right. All right. Love Univibe. The Octavia, because you know, I like being able to make some noise on a gig. And there's a song in my set that uses that in the melody. I like it a lot. Also, on something like that tune that I just played for you, I like being able to make some noise. And so I always love, my friends I call it, all right, you got your swishy effect and you got your noise maker. So I'm kind of good. I look at it that way. All right, so since everything's got to fit on this board, now what am I using the Supreme for? This is Matt Schofield's pedal, the Supreme, which I really love. Now, what I like about this particular pedal and the way it reacts with this pedal is when I use this Royal Blue Overdrive side, I can kind of get a bit more of like a treble-y boost. It might sound a bit, don't forget we're running through the aux, so at real volumes it sounds really good. So, right, so I'm turning up the treble a little bit and I'm reducing some of the bass. Right? Right, so then I have the more switch. So I can get really super, you know, if I want, and if I really want to go over the top. Right, so I have all this available to me on at my feet. So here, once again, I'm running the clean amp, but I almost would never use just the unadulterated clean sound on the Fender. I'm going to warm it up using this. So that's kind of like the way I would run my 2-rock. A little bit distorted. And then I can get more here, which is really great. Right? And then I can boost it more here. Or anywhere in between. So I have all these different levels of overdrive that I can use for the gig. So maximum control over a clean amplifier. So I try to minimize any issues that I would expect to encounter on the road. Like, oh, the hot rod blew up. We've got a Pro Blues Junior at the gig. You can use that. Okay. Can it make me loud? Yes. Okay, then I feel like I'm walking in, as best as I can, armed with everything I can. So I've tried to make everything smaller, but it just doesn't cover all my tunes. And the last thing you want to do, and I've gone through this, we all have, like, I'm going on the road, let me buy more stuff, which everybody does. I already did it, I bought this. So then delay. right? I like that. Right? And then tremolo, because a few of my tunes have tremolo. Right, so 2 or 3 of my tunes have tremolo that I think really adds a nice flavor to it. Now I have a vertex boost at the end of the chain for 2 reasons. One, it makes me louder if I need it. Also, I just love the boost. I love the buffer in that. I just think it sounds great, even whether I'm using it on or off. So I think that sounds awesome. And I thought, well, since I have the space, I'll just bring my fuzz, because if I have the room, I love that sound. It kind of rolled off fuzz. Right? So, and the tuner, of course. Why don't I like headstock tuners? Because I just don't like them. First of all, the big ones I think look silly. Also, I've been using standard tuners my whole life, right? So for me, on a stage, like, oh crap, like, you know, I'm just not, it's not natural for me. And also, you know, by doing this, if there's a problem, I can turn off I can pull my guitar cable out and do things like that. So, right. All right, can I make this smaller? Sure, but no, I can't for the music that I have. So I went through a lot of this in my head, like, how can I make this smaller? But this, I have brought this over in overhead before, and it's fit and it's fine. I'm gonna bring it in a soft bag, maybe put some bubble wrap over the top, just in case they make me gate check it or something like that. But it goes through security that way. Nobody's taken it apart, which many people have had done with their pedal boards. And so, you know, it's really, guys, unless you have the money, like talk about someone mentioned like Joe Bonamassa or bring his plane, unless you have the money to buy your own seat on the plane, which I don't, you're kind of at the mercy. Domestically, it's really not been too big a deal. My Calton case for my Les Paul actually fits even in a commuter jet over the top by, like, it just fits. You have to kind of push it up and close it, or stick your jacket underneath it, lifts it up. Also, you know, realistic things like, you know, if you're moving your own gear and you got this big, heavy Calton Les Paul case, it's a big pain in the butt after a while. So I try to travel as light as possible with the guitars, and I find, for me, I love playing Fender style guitars and Fenders, bolt-on necks. I'm not upset about that. The one last nerdy thing, is this fun, guys? There's a lot of people here, so I assume it is. The last thing we could do, and this is thank you Mick and Dan from that pedal show for making me do this, is the other thing I can do is, I might, you know, we'll see. I can bring this with me, and this is the Kingsley pedals, which are really great. It's the Maiden, and what this does, if I want to bring 2 pedal boards, I could fit this in my suitcase. It's in the tick. And what this does is, so this is my reverb pedal. I have my friend's given me his Hall of Fame that'll fit. This is an old Lexicon hardwire reverb. Sounds great, sounds great. Just I've got nice reverb in the 2 rocks, I end up using that. But here, the Maiden is a preamp section. So it's a 2 preamp. And like I said, I was watching that pedal show, and those guys were like, you know, you guys should, these are great. And of course, I ended up checking one out, and it's like I found one on the gear page and bought it. And it sounds amazing. So it's a 2 preamp, and you can plug it into the input of the effects return on the hot rod. And this is the Dumble version, so it's like the clean channel of a Dumble. Is it? I don't know. Still sounds really great, but you know, thanks to Mick and Dan for getting me on this. So the other thing I could do if I really want to be nuts, and I am nuts, because I am playing my own music for 2 weeks straight, I don't want to be unhappy. I'll deal with if I have to pay a little more money, maybe check something, for me to not be miserable playing my music for 2 weeks. Think about that, right? Like if I'm hired and I'm just playing in a blues band, I don't have to bring all this, you know, it might be fun, but I could probably get away with a nice overdrive and a delay and a reverb. But it's my music, and you're on the road for, you know, 2 weeks, and there's nothing worse if you're were bringing the same amp with me, and you start playing, and the first day you're like, oh, this sounds so bad. In 2 weeks of being miserable. So this might mitigate that. So this could fit in the suitcase, and what this would do would sit next to here, and I could run this into the effects loop of the amplifier. So that's as nerdy as I get on this stuff, which is pretty nerdy. All right, what didn't we cover? Any questions? I think we covered a lot. We talked about even portable coffee makers. Have I tried the Sir Henry Univibe? Yeah, no, I haven't, but I have my favorite Univibe. Hold on, I'm going off camera. It is, and a friend of mine has both the Sir Henry and this one. He ended up preferring this one. This is what Doyle Bramhall is also using now at the moment, is the Violet Vibe by R. Weaver Effects. And this thing sounds amazing. The one issue, as you can see already, is, that for as much as I use Univibe, and I love Univibe, and I'm going to do a video on my channel on Univibes, it just takes up so much room. And it's unfortunate because I'd have to sacrifice a lot of stuff. And I think the Vibe Machine by Drybell does a great job. It doesn't sound as good. It sounds really, really good. Sounds good enough, but it doesn't sound as good. I can say that for sure. All right, so any questions? D'Addario has a new expandable pedal board, which is worth checking out. I'm a D'Addario endorser, and they sent me one. It is pretty cool. I cannot fit my power supply under the small one yet. And then also, it's narrower again, so it would not be any different than, I would have to expand it, and then if I bring all the pedals, I put it together in Europe, and then I would have to raise it up so I can put the power supply under it, then assemble it, and all that, and I would still be bringing it on the plane. So I'd rather just have this thing ready to go. But the expandable pedal board is a very cool idea, and it's been well, you guys want to see it? Hold on. I'm going off camera again, but I can talk to you while I'm off camera from the other room. And here we go. Coming back. This is unprofessional, I know. All right, so here's the D'Addario one, which is pretty cool. All right, and then you have these little clips, and you can expand it. The only thing at the moment is I have the Strymon power supply that covers all these things, and it doesn't fit underneath the small one. So I'd have to raise this up significantly, and maybe worth doing, and I've done that with some old pedal trains, put bigger feet on and all that. This is really cool, but I think everything is kind of cool here. And let me explain one more thing. Since this is one level, which is great for a smaller gig, I have the third rail on this Metro 24, so I can put other things on top. So it smaller footprint this way, a little bit bigger this way, leads me to have a little more options. So, but that's a really well-constructed pedal board. It really looks really cool. Okay. Hey everyone, thanks everybody for hanging out. A Univibe was always tricky for me where you place it. Okay, I always put it before overdrive, but I always put fuzz first. So that answer. Okay, I always put a fuzz first because I don't like anything buffered or anything before a fuzz because it can kind of mess with the tone of the fuzz. So my chain, let me just run you through. Let me just go to the big pedal board picture. So the signal chain is fuzz first into my tuner. I've created this little riser for my tuner out of using 2 shims, plastic shims that I glued together to the right size. So that can come off. You see, oh, tape's coming off. I gotta glue that. All right, see, problem found, live TV. All right, so this goes out into the Octafuzz into the Vibe Machine, into the Supreme, into the Harlot, into the El Cap. Tremolo always after delay, and then the boost is last. And yeah, that's the chain on that. Am I doing any seminars in the music stores there? No, I didn't really have any. Honestly, guys, I thought that this tour was not going to happen because of COVID. So I didn't really plan doing any seminars in any towns. I'll try to do it the next time. I'm going to do that when I go to Italy. We're going to sort some of that stuff out. But it was tricky because I didn't book the tour, and then you can't say to everybody, I got to do a seminar, guys. You guys got to wait for me. So I get a foothold over there first, hopefully. And I thought it was going to be canceled because of COVID, you know, because so many things got canceled that I was like, this isn't going to happen. And you know something? I've done enough touring that it may not still happen. That's the way this stuff goes sometimes, especially with what's going on in the world. You know, they might just say, you know, this isn't going to happen. They put new COVID restrictions in, or, you know, who knows? So I always kind of think that I don't really believe it's happening until I'm actually on the plane. Because I've had tours that got canceled like a week before you go because something happened, you know. Booking agent messed up or something. So it becomes, you can't afford to do it at that point. All right. The feet on the back of this look adjustable. Yes, you were right. On the back of this, on the back, I can raise the back feet up and it just pitches the angle, but I could fit it here, but it doesn't fit the rest down here of the power supply. It's close, but no cigar. So instead of going through all this, I know this works. I've been using this forever. Like, why reinvent the wheel? I am going to make this work because this is awesome. You know what I mean? I really like this pedal board. It's great. And I think I just have to maybe raise up the feet a little bit. I had wished they had made more room below this, to be honest, because I can't use a one spot. I think one spots are basically, for any of the units that I have, they just start making so much noise because of the milliamp draw. So I need a good power supply. The gig power would fit. Would it really? All right. Well, is it really that small? Wow. Okay. I'll talk to those guys. Right, my workshop, my Zoom workshop for all you guys. Don't forget. On Wednesday, you can sign up 20%, 25% off. I'll link below. The Vibe Machine number 3, the third version, I haven't heard it yet. You know, I have that one. It sounds really good. I'm sure the new one sounds great. I just don't, you know, I have that one. You can keep on buying all, you know how it is. Like, I can upgrade this. I can upgrade this, you know. So then you end up spending more and more money. Any questions, guys? Looking back here. I'm trying to think I've covered everything. I'm definitely going to, you know, please follow me on Instagram because I'm going to be, you know, posting a lot of stuff. I'm going to try to post some videos on the channel here as well from gigs or like a road vlog or something like that. I know that the Koiks could maybe fit under there. It's really narrow. It's really, really narrow. So we'll see. Yeah, but then it's like I got to buy another power supply. I've got 2 Strymon power supplies that fit under a pedal train. You know what I mean? It's like more money and more money. Everything just starts costing more and more money. And then, you know how you guys have all done that. Like, I'm going to buy this. Then you're like, why did I buy all that? That was stupid. So, yeah. I don't see any more questions here. I'll get off the pedal board. Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to look at my pedal board. I am not bringing Evel Knievel with me. I wish, and some other things I've done out of the country and around the States, 2Rock has been helpful getting me amps, but you know, that's not going to happen. The supply chain and everything like that. So poor me is going to have to use a Fender. It'll be great. All right. Oh, do you make a point to find all the good places to eat while you're on tour? You try to keep a healthy diet food so you don't need to diet. I have an up-to-date passport. I did check that. And I'm going to check all the COVID restrictions as well. So in terms of the food, yeah, I'm a foodie guy, yeah, and I always look for the best food in the town, for sure. I'm a vegetarian, so sometimes that makes things a little difficult when you're in a different country. But I used to be vegan for many years, and that was very, very difficult on the road. And I realized I was more of a pain in the ass than anything. Now, things have changed a lot in the past 10, 15 years in terms of people eating healthier or, you know, vegetarian. So I can usually find something. But vegan's rough because, you know, if someone's got something with cheese in it or eggs or something, I'll be like, fine, sure, you know. But I know I missed out on some of the real specialties, like, you know, being in Italy and being a vegetarian. You know, I know you feel like some people feel like they're missing out. But, you know, what you don't eat, you know what I'm saying. Like prosciutto, I'm like, I don't know. I'm sure it's great. All right. Anything else? You mentioned the one spot here. This is Benjamin. The one spot, the problem with the one spot is if you're talking about the regular one plug daisy chain thing, they're very noisy. I have a Strymon power supply that takes, you want to run that in 500 milliamps. The Harlot's 500 milliamps, and then right there you're done because it starts making all sorts of noise. One spots are cool if you're using just like overdrives, but anything that draws a lot of current, like a digital effect, you're gonna be in trouble. Yeah. I know in Europe many people are vegetarian, vegan for sure. I sometimes worry about the, this is my older experience, is the smaller towns. This is from Zeta. Yeah, I know actually it was much easier to eat vegetarian and vegan over there than it was here for many, many years. So I totally realize that. Sometimes at the smaller town, it's a little bit of a hassle. That's what I've discovered when you don't know where to go. So now the big difference is, of course, I can find everything on apps and stuff like that. My main touring in Europe was before the big freedom of cell phones. So I know I'm thinking a bit old school on that Zeta for sure. All vegetarian food is healthy, isn't it? No, definitely not. That's always that's the big thing that people think, like, oh, I'm vegetarian, I'm healthy. It's like, I don't know about that, Anyway, a lot of junk vegetarian food. Do you use video, or do you have any custom light setup that you use, or whatever the club is that's available? Oh yeah, whatever's available at the club. I don't have any kind of, I have these ideas being a big Pink Floyd fan. At some point I have this fantasy of having some sort of stage lighting and these things, which I think would be cool. I'd love to do that. And I think some of my music lends itself to that. It would be totally cool and different, but difficult and an expense. And yeah, you have to rehearse that stuff with it. But I have done shows like that. I was curating at a place here in New York City or in Brooklyn called National Sawdust. I was curating some artists, and I brought in a good friend of mine who's a composer, and there's some video of it, Michael Rouse, M-I-K-E-L-R-O-U-S-E. And we had all these projections behind us, and it was really amazing, a ton of fun to do a show like that. So I'd love to do something like that, but bringing that on the road when you're moving all your old stuff. Do I use a wah-wah pedal? Yeah, I got it here actually. And what model? I'm actually using the R. Weaver Effects. This is the guy who made the Univibe I use. I like his stuff. He's got great ears. He lives not too far from New York City. Actually, he's officially still in New York City, up in I think he's in Queens or Yonkers or something like that. So great sounding wah pedal, really warm sounding, not like a, really kind of cool. I like this one. I don't tour with the wah pedal because they're freaking heavy, and I got to carry them. I like them, but I don't like them enough to bring them on the road with me because they're too heavy. I also bring a lot of power bars with me. I'll load up my suitcase with some power bars because I like, if you're in the middle of a drive and you want to eat something, so I'll bring some. But those are so much easier to find now than they used to be anyway. When you're improvising live, when you're improvising live, are you mostly thinking in terms of box positions? No, I hope not. I hope not, in the sense of, well, here's a few things. When you improvise and play over the same tune repeatedly, and you fall into patterns sometimes in how you play over that same song, you end up playing very similar things because they end up working and you like them. The challenge is to break out of those. And in terms of playing in box positions, you play whatever gets you through the tune in a way that you feel comfortable. I try to not play in box positions because I try to play more freely with music, and you know what I mean? As a professional who's got a sort of jazz background, for me it's important to be able to improvise the music I hear through having practiced a lot, if that makes sense. But hey, if somebody's calling a tune in A flat, I'm gonna maybe play a little more box positions, than a key that I'm not as freely feel as confident playing with. Do you prefer maple or rosewood necks? Maple. Rosewood, excuse me. I like rosewood. I like maple a lot too. I have one of my Tuttle Strats has a maple neck. it just, I like the way they both feel, and I think maple necks look awesome, especially when they get all worn in. It just so happens to turn out that my favorite guitars, or the ones that I own, have turned out to be rosewood necked guitars. I would love to have a great, 3 single coil Strat, with a maple neck. So, but generally speaking, I guess I favor rosewood and alder, because that's my favorite guitars. The ones I always seem to gravitate towards has that sound. But if you get a great sounding Strat that's alder, and like Eric Johnson uses alder and maple. My Black Tuttle Strat with the 2 humbuckers is ash and maple. And that sounds great too. It's a different sort of sound. Okay, so I wish I had more of a definitive answer on that. Whichever one you like is the right answer. No booze. Yeah, I'll have a drink or two, sure. I sometimes end up drinking a little more on the road than I would at home because it becomes a social thing, but I'm very careful with it. One, because family histories, fortunately not my own, throughout generations of that Scottish background. And also, I just end up feeling like crap the next day, right? I can't, drink like I could when I was in my early 20s. So it's just not worth it, The next day you're like driving to a gig, and then it hinders your performance, and then you just, it'll take you down. It takes you down slowly, and then you just like, man, I feel like crap. And you get home and you're all bloated and you look like crap and you feel like crap. So it's easier just not to do it at this point. All right, any other questions? I'm just looking back. Well, I really appreciate everybody being here and everybody who is signed up for the workshop on Wednesday. 25% off at the link that is in the box on the side there. I'm happy to, I'd love to have you there. Once again, it will always live on my website, the Teachable website that I'm building up. So the plan with all this stuff too is to start offering a lot more workshops and my own courses that you can get through that channel. Oh, Matt Schofield is texting me. I told him never to bother me again. I name dropped. I need the horn, right? Like that pedal show horn. Got distracted there. Yeah, I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, this is from BB. Do you have a set list you want to share with us to keep up your sleeve for now? I could post a set list for sure. Absolutely. I don't know what it is yet. I only know my tunes and a few other tunes. I like to throw in the blues standards. Keith's from 5 Watt World, just hitting it. Keith's just coming in last minute. Some covers. I like doing Brush with the Blues by Jeff Beck. I love that tune. It's a ton of fun. Easy tune. Sometimes try to choose easier tunes too, right? Because some of my tunes are a little more difficult, and then you want to have ones that you can pull together, not really sweat and give people a lot of work learning charts and stuff and all that. And he keeps on texting me. He's texting me about my amp. Matt borrowed my amp a while ago before COVID, and he's letting me know that he will get it back to me. And I'm going to tell him he can use it on the road. When he comes up northeast, he lives down in Florida, when he comes to town, he borrows my amp because I have one of his amps. So, the 2 Rock Classic Reverb Signature, I just let him use mine. Then you have to worry about traveling with one. Okay. Will I be doing some live streams on the road? If I can, yeah, I will try to do that. That would be like 2 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning in the States. I'm going to try to get as much footage as I can because I think it would be fun. If I could do some live streams, maybe from the phone on live on YouTube or something. Sure. Once we get rolling a little bit, I don't want to live stream the first thing and be like, oh no, this is terrible. Will you be heading up to the Great White North? No. The only reason why I would love to come out to Canada, it's just a matter of getting up there and making it affordable to do. That's really the thing. It becomes very difficult to set up tours and make money. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm going out here. I'm not expecting, I'm doing this because I'm doing it, they call it a loss leader, I'm sure. I'm not saying there's no money, but as I said in the beginning, you do it because it helps everything else. So, all right. Hey, My Peoples by Keith. What do I think of 335s? Do you use one? I love 335s. I toured with Robin with a a Collings I-35 LC, which I ended up selling to, plus a number of other things to finance the old Strat. I love Collings. I love 335s. I discovered, though, for my music, my original music, the 335 isn't the right guitar for me, or I don't get a chance to play live at volume enough with the 335 to work out my music with the way the guitar interacts differently. My music was mainly written on a Stratocaster. I find most comfortable playing my music on a Strat. I love Les Pauls. I used one on the other night in the gig on 2 tunes, and that's fun. But for everything I do, like if you're familiar with my music, it's pretty Stratty. So when I was on the road with Robin, he didn't want me to use the Strat because he thought I sounded better on Les Pauls than Strats, or I played too Hendrixy on my Strat. Yeah, whatever, it's his gig. And I appreciated it because it got me away from a lot of cliches I was doing on the Strat. But for me, I feel like Strats cover everything I need a Strat to cover, or a guitar to cover. All right. Well, I will vlog from the Sprinter for sure. That'd be fun. And I really appreciate everyone being here. Thank you, BV, for taking such good care of everything over here and doing it last minute as always. Thanks for Keith Williams for signing up, for jumping in last minute. And I'm on my way. If you happen to be in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg, I'm going to go see my friend Jason Lachlan play guitar. He's got an early gig, so he's playing until 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I'm going to go run over and see Jason. And then I'm going to come home and work on some charts. All right, everyone, I will see you guys soon. I will try to blog from the road, but hope to see everybody at the workshop, the Zoom workshop on Wednesday. Once again, 25% off if you sign up with the link that's over there. Really appreciate it. It's a great way if you want to help me out to do more stuff, like, more videos and things. It's a great way to support the channel and what I do. And then you can watch it from now until ever, because it exists. It's not just a live workshop. You can watch it again later. All right. Thanks so much, everyone. I really appreciate you being here, and I will see you all soon. Thank you.